Tonight, I'm gonna have myself such a good time. Anybody like Queen as much as I do? I just felt having a good time, having a good time. How do I start and stop this machine so quickly? It feels very jarring.
To add the screen of Mary E because she's just shaking her head. Good Lord. Good
It's all part
Lord.
of
This is your teammate, Mary.
it's all part of the show. It's all part of the show, okay? East Coast, West Coast, together we make a complete person here, Mary Eve Brown. Hello and welcome, everyone. We are thrilled to have you. If this is your first time, let us know. If you've been with us every single time, let us know too. You have a Debbie's Dream Foundation punch card. Every time you join us, you get a punch card, you get a free something. That'd be really cool.
Well, you get a recipe booklet.
You get a recipe booklet. First, we'll start with who the heck am I? If you've never been with us before, my name is Nathan Lyon. I'm from Arlington, Virginia. Graduated with a health science degree with a public health minor from James Madison University. Completed a course to become a medical technician at UCLA Extension. I worked with farmers for over 25 years, and I've been cooking on television for 20 with an Emmy nomination and a seasonal cookbook. That is nothing in comparison to the person who you are watching shaking her head. That is Mary Eve Brown, clinical oncology dietitian specialist at Johns Hopkins Kimmel Cancer Center. I just love her, and I would be nothing, a shell of my bald self without her. Mary Eve Brown, how are you doing on the East Coast?
Fantastic. 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 And you know
I
what?
hear
JMU made it into the football championship, you know?
for the first time for that particular, yeah. I'm not gonna now I'm off topic. Now I have to go
Sorry.
do something else. But thank you for that. That's very sweet of you for saying that. The other voice that you've heard that you don't see, that is Sarah. She's actually waving her hands. Camera's here. And Sarah will be the person that is able to relay the questions that you have for either myself or Mary Eve Brown throughout this next hour. And yeah, I mean, let's get started. We have a lot to do today. Of course, you don't have to make all four dishes with us, but you can do one at a time. Again, if you have any questions when it comes to the cooking, I'm your guy. If anything comes with as far as health or direction, whether you're a provider or whether you're a patient, that is for Mary Eve Brown. And together we will make this happen. Okay.
Welcome, Courtney, Ohio neuroscientist here. How cool.
OSU!
All right, we're swapping the whole thing. We're gonna go ahead and make Buckeyes.
Yes.
We're gonna get peanut butter and some lovely and dip them in the chocolate like a little Buckeye. Ohio State, very small school, tiny little stadium.
Tiny.
Anyway, there's 100, maybe 100 people to go there. We need to get started. We're gonna do a little dance here. We're gonna start in one part. We're gonna move around, do a soup, do a main, do a dessert, all that fun stuff. Any questions so far? I feel like I'm at the front of the class, being like, any questions? No questions. Let's go ahead and get started. This is my seasonal shirt. It was 84 degrees here in Los Angeles yesterday. It has cooled down, but I feel this is very festive. It sort of reminds me of all the different colors that you'll see in fall and autumn. And eating seasonally, as I'm hoping you would know by now, if you've watched this before, is going to be the healthiest, most nutritious, cost the least, best flavor. So it's a really wonderful way to eat. Okay, we're going to get started on a pot roast with some root vegetables. And that's what's going on. I think pot roast is one of these things where it's nice and cold outside. Pot roast should come and it just smells amazing, and it just sort of calms one down. It doesn't calm my caffeinated butt down, but it calms another person down. Okay, so what I've done already is this. I've taken beef chuck. The first step is a little bit loud, and we did it earlier this morning, which is turn on the fan, high blast. I have a pot right here. And I started with a little bit of oil. I salted both sides, and I seared it at very high heat. This portion in the bottom right here, where it's stuck initially, that's actually a good thing. That's called fond. There's a lot of flavor in that fond. And we'll eventually get that off of the bottom of the pan and into the solution, that little lovely braising solution, okay? So I seared it. I put the meat off to the side, and we're going to go ahead and do the next step. I actually pulled out the olive oil that was in there because with that high heat, it sort of breaks it down. And as Mary Eve Brown told me, like you want to get rid of that oil, start anew. So we're going to put brand new olive oil in there and cook off a lot of these vegetables. Okay. Here we go. Just get it over a sort of a medium-ish heat while I'm getting the vegetables ready. Here we go. Now, Mary Brown, you and I have talked about different types of vegetables, and one of the things you've taught me is for patients of stomach cancer, skins are not very good. Yeah, are there any sort of vegetables that you would say, you know what, Nathan, don't even worry about peeling those skins. It seems to work out because we're going to be cooking these for about 3 hours. Are there any vegetables out there you're like, just go for it, just go
Yeah,
ahead and cook the heck out of it?
you anything with a really thin skin, and you've got that carrot, and then is that a purple carrot? What's the purple thing next to you?
Mm.
This is a Japanese turnip. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Is that how crazy is that? We saw it at the farmer's market. We're like, let's give it a go.
So
Looks pretty cool.
how's the skin of that? Is it like a carrot, like a thin carrot?
It's like a carrot. And the thing is, since we went ahead and made a swap yesterday, when you peel it, you lose that purple, which is sort of a bummer. So
Oh,
you tell me, do we keep the purple, the nutritive purple, and let it cook down for 3 hours,
I
or
totally would keep, I would totally not skin any of that. And is that parsnips over there as well?
yes,
Yeah.
we don't have to peel the parsnips?
No, so you're going to cook them for a
Wow.
very long period of time. And the other thing I love about this, and we've talked about this before, is each color of a vegetable gives you a different cancer fighter. So you've got 3 or 4 of them right there. And I
Fantastic.
think because it's going to be a slow cook, I think that the skins are not going to be a problem with any of those.
Okay.
We have Nancy Brown here from Grand Coulee area in Central Washington.
Central Washington, there's a lot of, I mean, I've seen a lot about the rains that are up
Oh
there.
yeah, they've got like terrible flooding in part of
Yeah,
that.
I'm hoping that everyone is safe and sound up there. It's a weird time right now. We're really hot down here in Southern California, really cool in different parts of the world right now. Um, Speaking of cool, not me, not my brother, but these carrots. If you get fresh carrots from a chef's perspective, you always know when they're really fresh when you see the greens that are attached. It's sort of a double-edged sword because you're like, those are very fresh. But the thing about that, when the greens are still attached, the carrot doesn't know it's out of the ground. So the greens are
Mm.
actually sapping a lot of the sugar out of the carrot. So when you get those carrots, rip them off, get those greens out of there and just go ahead and pop these carrots in the refrigerator.
But use the greens in a salad.
You can use the greens in a salad.
Oh my
Exactly
God, I
right.
love carrot greens. Yes, because have a carroty undertone to them, but they're bright. So throw them in a salad, eat them raw.
Okay, fantastic. I mean, one of the things I remember learned about carrots is because I worked with farmers for so long, they're like, you want to get the really fresh carrots. But if you don't have fresh carrots right now, you can get them at the grocery store. The ones that are stored without the green tops, they get more of a like a sweeter-ish flavor than the ones that are fresh, but the fresher ones have a carroty flavor. So all I'm saying is carrots get sweeter as it gets colder. Right now is the best time to be eating carrots. It's the healthiest you can get right now. Okay.
The question for Mary Eve from a patient. Holidays while sick are stressful. Thanksgiving was difficult. I am in active chemotherapy and struggling with eating. I love the holidays and Hanukkah starting this Sunday. I'm feeling sad that I can't eat all my traditional foods. Any thoughts?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, but it's oil, right? Because that's what kept them
Mhm.
going. So a lot of fried donuts and latkes and a lot of fried things. Um, my one thought is there are some things that are pretty traditional, I think would go okay, like matzo ball should be okay. A roast chicken should be okay. A, so kugels can go either savory or sweet. I think the savory would probably be okay. It's an egg noodle with eggs and ricotta cheese or cottage cheese in it. I think
Mhm.
those would all sit pretty well. Applesauce would go okay. But then also, holidays, they're food. There's
Mhm.
also other things around holiday that you could find maybe enjoyment in, being with family, being with friends, enjoying the lights, like all the things that go around Hanukkah. But and like the food is the side of it, kind of thing. So, but those ones, just roast chicken should go okay, a savory kugel should go okay, a matzo ball should go okay, applesauce should go okay, and then just enjoy the people who are celebrating your holiday with you.
There you go. Yeah, it is. It is important. I think that one of the things about food, and Mary, you and I, you and I have talked about this. I think that food is so important that it sort of goes above so many other things. I would say it's more important than like your political affiliation, your almost your religion, because I've always said if we have a different religion, that's totally fine. It's totally great. It works for me. But if you say that your grandmother's French onion soup is better than my grandmother's, it's going to be fisticuffs. It's just one of these things that I just think it's just that places so well. And that's great advice. And it's one of these things where you put yourself with your family, with your friends, having small portions of food that takes you to that place that brings you all together is really important. Albeit, I am making a decent sized pot roast, but the thing about a pot roast is as it cools, you can just go ahead and grab a small amount, reheat it with a small amount of that broth and some of these vegetables that are cooked down, they're nice and soft. And you can have that over the next handful of days, and you can even freeze it. So I am making a larger portion, which is sometimes a bit intimidating for a cancer patient, but you do have that food on offer when friends and family come over, and it's always going to be there, and it does get better over time. So I think it's sort of a win-win. And plus, again, it's like there's something about when you walk into the house and you can smell that beef stew, that pot roast cooking down. I just think that's really, really lovely. Okay. So this particular cut is beef chuck. Okay. You'll see it in a couple different ways. So this one's about 1.25 inches right here. It actually came in one piece, but this foot is sort of fat right in the middle, just separated very easily. And I'd seared it on both sides, pulled it out like I said before. But you'll also see it more like a clod. It looks more like a small football, and it's from the shoulder area of the steer. So it's a very well worked muscle. So that's why you always hear something called like low and slow. It's for cuts like this, well worked cuts that have a lot of gelatin. So it'll you cook it for a long time, and you would think that's going to make the meat dry out, but it also makes all that gelatin, which gives you that wonderful mouthfeel. So you kind of hit it right in that sweet spot after cooking it for about 3 hours. Okay. So any other types of cuts that would have less or more fat? I know you and I talk about dairy fat from time to time. Is there a bad side to having too much or too little beef fat? 'Cause I know that protein's important. What about fat, Mary Eve?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So fat slows down digestion. So it actually physically slows down like the release from the stomach into the intestine. So if you are in treatment and you're queasy, high fat foods are going to make that 100 times worse. If you've had, a partial gastrectomy, it can make you just feel fuller quicker. Or if you've had a total gastrectomy, again, it can make you feel fuller quicker. So I think the key is if you're going to have any cut of beef, lower fat is going to be, I understand why you're using a chuck because it's very flavorful. It does have more fat in it than a round. But I think you could do this with a round too. You're the chef, you tell me. The other important, really, really, really important thing for our people are eat your protein first. So chef's going to make this, this lovely pot roast, eat the meat part of it first. And then if you have room, do the carrots and the potato. But since we need that protein so much and you're only able to hold a baby tiny portion, you're going to eat the meat first.
There you go. Okay. Smart. Now, one of the things we're talking about as far as the fat, great point, less fat, better. So the wonderful thing about this particular recipe, when you do a pot roast, is we made the swap, if you will, last night because it takes about 3 hours to cook full time in the oven, very low and slow. During that time, the fat separates and creates what's called a fat cap. So I scraped off that fat cap. So the fat is actually very, very low in this particular recipe because the fat is now in the compost. But you have all that flavor that comes along with that mouthfeel of that particular cut. So I think it's another win-win.
Yay, yay, yay!
Hi, is she high-fiving me?
She sure is.
Okay, great. Okay, perfect.
Jen from DDF, going back to the holiday, says, when I was first recovering, I had small nibbles of my favorite food and I focused on catching up with family I hadn't seen in a long time.
Okay.
And poses the question to anyone watching, those who are watching, how have you been navigating holidays, get-togethers when you're surrounded by food? Great question, and especially during the holidays when it's all about the food, right?
It's all about the food.
Yep. Love you, Jen. Oh, so this is what I would say. Have a discussion with your host. because you may not be hosting this year or, in the future. Have a discussion with your host of what your challenges are. And so maybe, yeah, the food is there, but maybe it's, in another room. So I'm not looking at it constantly. Or if it's a sit down kind of thing, tell the host, I just need a small plate. So can you put, at my table setting, can you just put like the salad plate instead of the big plate? So it's having honest discussions with whoever is hosting that event for you. What are my challenges and how can we navigate through it? I think actually the host would enjoy that conversation because as a host, you just want everyone to feel love and joy and comfort in your home. And if the host can help you with that, that actually makes it even a better celebration.
Don, hello from Indiana. This is my first holiday post TG, so I'm still learning, but small bites, snacking, and a small portion of food for dinner helps. And eat the protein first.
Yep. The other thing I would suggest is bring something that is safe for you to eat. So even if there's all these other things and you look at it and you're like, there ain't anything on that table I can eat, I can pull out my little dish and say, hey, do you mind if I bring my own little thing so that I can eat what I can eat? And I'm sure that your host would be like, yes, please do that. Like, yes, please. So that's another tip is to bring something that I'm safe with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic.
That is smart.
Nancy asked, what is the most tender beef? Or is it the way it is cooked that matters most?
It is when it comes to pot roast, it's the latter. So for example, if you had a filet mignon, which is, it's not a very worked muscle, it's almost never worked, to be honest with you. So that's why it's very delicate and it's very like cut it with a spoon tender. You would never cook a filet mignon for a very long time. You would cook for a very short time to keep it very tender, medium rare at tops. because this beef chuck is from the shoulder, it's worked like crazy. You've got this animal that's like a ton and working and running and doing all these things. The only way to break down the connective tissue into collagen gelatin to get that wonderful mouthfeel is over time. So yeah, the great thing about doing these sort of like winter stews is you take a cut of meat that is by comparison very cheap and you end up with exponentially more flavor. It turns out that the muscle groups that are worked more end up having more flavor than the ones that are worked least. So a filet mignon has great tender, but it's like a 2 out of 10 in the flavor scale. But something like this, like a chuck, is like an 8.5 or 9 in the flavor scale. It just takes longer to get to that point where you get this wonderful mouthfeel. Okay, great question. So the last thing I got, please.
Okay. The other thing is if you can get grass-fed, grass-finished beef, that actually has more omega-3 properties to it. So it's a healthier choice if your food dollar allows and you can find grass-fed and grass-finished. And I had to learn what grass-finished means.
Okay.
What did you say, Mary?
I had to learn what grass-finished mean.
Right, it's true.
So what it means is that cow from birth to coming to the place that it needed to come to us, it was only fed grass. So if it says grass-fed, that may be a short period of time, but grass-fed, grass-finished means their whole life cycle.
Right, because most of the times they're finished on corn to fatten them up.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, the corn part, I always say it's when you think about grass-fed beef, it's analogous, at least for me as a chef, with wild Alaskan salmon. Grass-fed beef, wild Alaskan salmon. Huh? There's got to be a haiku pretty close to that.
That's awesome.
Thank you. So you have, wild salmon, which goes out and eats crustaceans. You have a lot of omega-3s. It's much leaner, has a more pronounced flavor, but if you cook it right, it's just as delicious. Whereas farm salmon is pretty fatty. You have antibiotics to keep them healthy. Same thing with cows, or with seared. You have grass-fed and you have them finished on corn. It messes with the rumen, the pH, and all those things that get sick, and you have antibiotics. Same sort of thing. But I agree. I think when you have grass-fed, it's kind of the way it was intended to be. And again, you have a well-worked animal. We're going to break that down. It's going to be nice and tender, like fall apart in your mouth tender. And it's going to be lovely as far as the finished flavor. Okay?
Don says, great ideas. Thank you so much. The pot roast stew sounds amazing. I can't wait to make it myself. Thank you for the inspiration.
Has anybody seen this? Maybe on the Muppet Show? What is this? The Swiss?
Looks like a Muppet.
Yeah, the Swedish chef. Anyway, we're trying to be serious here, Mary Brown. Can you not do this?
I love that thing.
This is a fennel bulb. It's been sitting in the fridge for a couple of days, usually a little bit taller like this. So I mean, the last thing you saw me cut was this. When you see it at the grocery store, if you see it with these fronds attached, great. If you don't, still fine. These sort of stalks, if you will, looks a lot like celery. They don't break down anyway. So I always discard them and I'll save them for stock. So I have a lot of nutrients still left in here. I paid for it. Sarah and I have like a Ziploc bag. We keep a lot of scraps from our vegetables in there. If we get a rotisserie chicken, I'll save the bones. So I'll make some homemade chicken stock. So it's just something to keep in mind when you do have things and you do bring things home. There are multiple uses for it. And there's still a lot of vitamins and minerals and flavor still left in vegetables that even look sad like this one. Okay.
Going back to the beef, Jen from DDF asked, how do you not overcook beef in a stew or soup?
All right. Good question. The difference is to sort of like talk about this is a braise. So this is a roast, if you will, roast root vegetable. It's a braise. So the way we're going to cook it is you have one big piece of meat you sear, do all these other things you'll see. You add some stock, and it doesn't have to cover the meat all the way. If I chop that into smaller pieces, like 1.5-inch cubes, that would essentially be a stew because it would be in the solution. But to answer your question, from a chef's perspective, you sort of get an idea as far as the size of the meat that we have here, the shape of the meat, and then the time correlated with that. We're only starting it on the stovetop. The slow and low part doesn't happen on the stovetop. It actually happens in the oven. And it's a visual cue. So when I bring this whole thing to a simmer, it's going to be more like a blip, 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 not like a rolling boil. The blip, blip, blip goes in the oven. It'll stay at that blip, blip, blip pace. And you have a wide berth of time and temperature when it comes to a heavily worked cut of meat like this. So when I say it's going to be like 2 3/4 hours to 3 1/4 hours, you're still going to be great there. When you look at, let's say, white meat for chicken, you don't want to overcook that. It gets really dry. Dark meat for chicken, you actually can cook it much, much longer to around 185, 190. For beef, even more worked, heavier, more connective tissue, we're talking like 200 degrees. So it's almost close to a simmer, So when you're cooking at a blip, 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 you're actually keeping it right in that sweet range that's converting the connective tissue to gelatin. So I guess the answer is, you're good. You're kind of good. I mean,
it's hard to overcook.
If you put it to a boil and you just blasted the heck out of it, yeah, it would overcook. But the thing is, as you're cooking a heavy cut like this, it is squeezing out some of the juice, if you will, but you're converting so much connective tissue that the mouthfeel covers up for that loss. So it's this wonderful like give and take of flavor and moisture. It's all going to still be in there. But that's a wonderful, wonderful question. If you're concerned or just curious, a digital thermometer, you can go ahead and put it in the piece of meat in the deepest part. If it registers like 200 degrees, you're fine. Just go ahead and turn it off and let it cool down. Okay, I hope that helps. So vegetables, brand new oil. I got rid of the old oil that I seared it with. New oil, new vegetables, no salt. It doesn't need it. I salted the meat. We're also going to use some stock that may have salt in it as well. Okay, give it a stir. I cannot tell you how thrilled I am that I didn't have to peel any of those vegetables, Mary. I am thrilled because again, the color on this is it just broke my heart that I would have to peel that off. I'm feeling pretty good. But one of the things we've talked about, I dare you to tell me that I don't have to peel these.
You got to peel this off.
Oh, Mary Eve, I knew it. I knew it. All right.
Why those over carrots?
Well, those are a little bit of a thicker skin. The carrot, if you just brush it really well with a vegetable brush, you're good. That being said, I mean, if you're newly out from, a total gastrectomy or partial, peel everything just because that's going to help. But if you're doing okay, I don't think you need to peel it. But the potato skin is a little bit rougher from a fiber standpoint than the other vegetables, the other roots that you used. And I use my fennel fronds in a salad, just like my carrot tops.
Yeah. Okay. What if you had a new potato, Mary Eve, like the ones you see in the spring, where the skin is very papery? It's extremely thin? Would you have to? I know you should. I mean, you should always peel them, but I'm just curious.
I don't think you have to. I mean, it really depends on your digestion.
Okay.
I think, again, if I'm newly out of surgery or if I'm in chemotherapy or if I'm in radiation, I'm peeling everything. If I'm far out and I have better digestion, I probably don't need to, because some of the nutrients do lie close to the skin. And so when you skin things, you can lose some of the nutrients. And as dietitians, we tell everybody to eat all the skins of all the things. It's just in our group here, sometimes it can be a little hard.
Okay. Well, I know that the carrots, like for example, the carrot peel can be a little bitter. That's like the vegetable's first source of protecting itself against insects. But there is a lot of nutrients still in that skin. So it thrills me to no end that I don't have to peel all those nutrients off of that carrot.
The other thing is the application of what we're doing here. So we're
Right.
cooking this over a very long period of time. It's going to be very tender and soft, as opposed to something maybe I'm like stir frying or quick cooking or, that kind of like crunchy-ish. Peel it. If it's going to be soft and tender, maybe not.
Okay. What about different colors of potatoes, Mary Eve? 'Cause I know you were talking earlier about when you have the carrots, you have the turnips, the parsnips, you have different colors. So what if you were to throw, a purple potato, all these different colors of potatoes that are actually on offer? Would that sort of
It's like a
change
sweet,
things?
right. So like a sweet potato has more beta carotene in it than a white potato.
That's right.
The purples are going to have, a different phytonutrient that's also going to be like in purple cabbage and blueberries and, other purplish things, bluish that we don't like blue things, but
Beets.
beets.
No, I love it because the different flavors are awesome. Because right now, again, this is my favorite time of the year as a chef because I get what's left over from summer, but I also get all these wonderful things that are in fall or autumn. I made myself keep this little gem out. What about throwing something like this in a stew? It would break down to almost like it would it would break down. Its spirit would break down. It would cry, but it would break down to the point where I think I wouldn't even have to peel this. Am I correct? 'Cause normally I wouldn't peel it, but would I have to peel this as
A
well?
little honey.
That's like a baby butternut. What's it called?
Honey nut.
Honey nut. I would definitely peel that.
Okay. Okay.
I think of sweet potatoes, maybe peel those. Those are a little bit thicker.
Okay.
I think squashes definitely do that. The other thing I've been doing lately, putting pumpkin in a lot of things.
Mhm.
And it goes really nice in chili and stews and soups. And I just
Yeah.
buy canned pumpkin and I freeze it in ice cube trays. That way I could just pop out two trays, two of them and throw them in something. It would go really nice in this too.
Yes, it would. Nancy says it takes a long time for me to chew beef to a pulp. So I was avoiding it until I tried cooking it long and slow in a sous vide bag prior to teaching.
Fantastic.
Wait, Nancy, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
People without a stomach have to chew a lot because that's where your digestion starts. At the same time, chewing is work. And if I'm like a little tired, a little fatigued, I'm not chewing that a whole bunch. So I love this whole application for our people of a slow and low.
And plus sous vide is just one of these things where it's for those of you that aren't familiar with sous vide, it's under a vacuum. So like you'll see these, you put vegetables in it, put meat in it. You would never overcook anything, but you also never undercook anything. So you can hit this perfect little sweet spot. Speaking of sweet spot, tomato paste. How do you feel about tomato paste? I can suck this whole tube dry and not even blink an eye, Mary Eve.
Yeah, love it. And what's
Good.
great about it is it provides that flavor of a long cook. So if you're making a tomato sauce and you're not putting tomato paste in it, try it because it will seem like it was sitting on your Nana stove for hours because it's so concentrated.
And the thing about what is the lycopene, right, with
Yep.
tomatoes? Because I
Yep.
know that like fresh tomatoes are good for you, but dried tomatoes are better for you. But tomato paste is like lycopene is just off the charts.
Yeah, so when you cook a tomato with some oil, your body can get more of the lycopene out of that tomato than if it was a raw tomato.
There we go. Perfect. So
I was
please.
gonna say it's amazing how important fat is to the nutrition to get those vitamins and.
The fat soluble vitamins, we do need some fat to carry those fat soluble vitamins into our system. What I did was I just put a little fresh olive oil in there whenever I'm adding tomato paste, because even though it's cooked, it's still sort of raw, if you will. So I add a little more olive oil to be able to coat that tomato paste, cook it down for just a couple seconds, just to get rid of that raw flavor for a little bit. And then I'm going to add something that you and I are going to talk about, and that's a little bit of booze, Mary Brown. It is the
What?
holidays, but I'm adding red wine because I'm deglazing with it. I don't have to add red wine. I can just add stock. How do you feel about red wine when it comes to cooking? I'm going to cook it for 3 hours, but there's still going to be a lot of alcohol in this. How do you feel?
Well, if you cook the alcohol off, you're fine. Um, Alcohol can be really a problem with people without a stomach or a partial gastrectomy, or you're in treatment. So if you're going to cook it for a long period of time, the alcohol is going to be removed. But if it's something that's shorter, you're going to want to not use alcohol. You're going to want to use some other type of flavorful liquid, a broth
What do
or
you think?
stock.
Whatever you want to do.
Now, I mean, that sort of throws it off because when you're cooking out and they'll say like you deglaze with alcohol and you burn it off and it cooks it off, it doesn't fully cook it off. So
Mm.
now I'm caught on a crossroads here, Mary Eve. What do I do? I got the devil on this side and the angel on this side. What do I do?
I know you're the devil. So, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, right. But you're a good devil. So I, I think if you can tolerate it, use it. I'm going to say if you're in treatment, you're not going to use any kind of alcohol at all.
Okay. And that's fine. And that's totally fine. Again, when you deglaze, part of the purpose is to get that acidity, but the other part is to get the fond off the bottom, but the stock will do that as well. Okay. I'm using Better Than Bouillon. This is beef base. If you want to do chicken base, you can do that. If you want to do vegetable base, you can do that. It's completely up to you. I'm going to add like a spoonful of this to the tomato paste and the vegetables. Then I'm going to add just a thing of water to it. There's no need to like dirty up another container by doing water and this together. It's just unnecessary because I'm going to stir it all together and just dip it. Okay. Favorite stock ideas? Because I know you really like beef
Bone broth.
broth, bone broth. Would that work in here as well? This dish?
It would. Yeah, totally would. Totally
Okay.
would. I recommend bone broth just because of the protein that's in it. I mean, you may not need that in this because you have the beef in it. But protein, again, back to that protein, it's so important for our people. And if they're having a hard time getting it, using a bone broth can kind of get that protein where it needs to be. But if you're having no problem, it doesn't have to be a bone broth. It could just be the Better Than Bouillon or whatever broth that you like, a homemade broth or what you like.
Okay. So I have the broth that's in there now. I threw in a bunch of cups of water, so that's essentially my broth. It also saves me from having to lug those box stocks from the grocery store using Better Than Bouillon. I have yet to find a box stock that I actually like, one that I would sip and go, this is really good. You should try this. But Better Than Bouillon I do like. Also, it's very small. So I'm at the point right now, because the meat's already seared, I have the potatoes that are already peeled. I'm just going to add a couple of the things. One of the things I really recommend is orange peel. It gives
Oh,
the essential oils from orange give it this delightful, it's not in your face because it does cook down, for a couple hours, but it's more prominent than say a bay leaf. It's just you kind of have to like orange, but it's one of these things that are in the back of your head that kind of make you smile because it's just there. It's not necessarily omnipresent, but it just goes really well with the fat from the beef, with the vegetables, the sweetness, and the carrots. I just find it's really lovely. And chances are, because oranges are in season right now,
yep.
the zest is really lovely and fresh. And again, it's got a lot of essential oils in there. Okay. So
Chef, I love
please.
this so much. Now I got to do this. So you just made that point that we've always talked about. Things that are grown in the same season all go together.
That's right.
You may not think that they do, but if they're grown in the same season, they play nice together in the sandbox.
That's true. 100%. And they all work. Like I wouldn't put asparagus in this.
Oh, ew.
That was a very visceral reaction you just had, wasn't it?
Ew. I'm thinking slime.
Asparagus is in the spring, but all these things work together. Again, they're very flavorful, really wonderful thing. And they all seem to work in the same cooking method too. I have thyme. I don't have to pick it because I can just throw it in there. And when it's done, I can just pull the whole thing out. Thyme's already done its thing. Bay leaves we just talked about, potatoes and some orange peel. And then I'm going to add the meat back in there. When it comes to a simmer, that's going to go in the oven for about 2 3/4 to 3 hours. Out of sight, out of mind. You just set an alarm for 3 hours from now. You're going to be set and just loving it.
So while you do that, I have a question from a patient for Mary Eve. I have been suffering with being tired. My doctor did some blood work and my iron is very low. I tried iron pills, but I do not do well with them. What can I do with my diet? Luckily, I can eat most foods, but beef is difficult, and I know beef is a good source of iron. I'm at a loss.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, so our people do have a problem with iron and anemias in general. B12 is the other one. So there are two different types of iron. There's heme iron and non-heme iron. Heme iron is in beef, animal. Non-heme iron is in plants. So other animal heme irons, and heme, easier to digest, poultry, eggs, salmon. Those all have heme iron in them. Non-heme iron, tofu. Um,
Lentils?
yes, but yeah, yes, lentils, beans, yes. But I'm thinking of ones that are like just easy to digest. Even though this lovely person can digest all things, I'm thinking like of all of us in the group. Tuna. The other one that I really, really, really like is fortified dried cereals, like Special K or Total or just two brands. And you can just nosh on them as a snack. They are sprayed with vitamin and mineral mixture, and they're easy to digest. But I would just do them dry, not with milk, because sometimes cereal and milk don't sit well if you don't have a stomach anymore. But the other important part is with non-heme iron sources like spinach and tofu, and also with like the dried cereals, don't drink coffee or tea at the same time. So there's a property in coffee. I know your lovely word, coffee. Coffee and tea have properties in them called tannins and polyphenols that actually bind the iron and make it totally like almost like 90% unavailable to be absorbed.
That's wild.
The other thing is you want to try to eat a vitamin C high food along with an iron source, strawberries or tomatoes or tomato paste. The vitamin C makes it a more acidic environment for the iron to be absorbed. There's another thing about like using cast iron. So if you use cast iron to cook something in, you do get some of the iron out of the cast iron. And we talked about cast iron before, that you get more iron absorbed that way. The other thing is you might want, I have all of my patients on a chewable multivitamin. And so you can get a chewable multivitamin that has 100% of the recommended daily allowance for iron in it. And I find the chewables, actually like the kids ones, are pretty easily digested. Iron could be, pills can be really like not good. Like they can cause nausea, they can give you constipation, like a lot of GI stuff. But a chewable kids vitamin might be a good idea, but always run that by your healthcare team. Like don't take me on the internet telling you what to do, but run it by your healthcare team.
Yeah, you're exactly right. One of the things that you were saying, and I sort of mentioned because when it came to iron, was lentils, spinach, those types of
Hmm.
things. For
Hmm.
those of you that can consume that sort of thing, um, one of the big no-nos that always happens, and it happened in most of the restaurants I've worked in, is that people will do beans and lentils like legumes, and if it's dried, they'll always put the new ones on top of the old ones. Now, even though they're dry, they continue to dry. So if you're mixing your old beans with your new lentils or beans, they're going to cook at different rates. So if you're running into it's just an interesting thing. So you're not a crazy person. It's that your beans were actually drier than the new beans you had. So don't put them in the same container. It's like a lot of us will say the cereal is running low. You put the new on the old.
No,
Don't do that with
no,
beans.
don't do that.
Don't. It's called FIFO actually. It's a good thing to
First in, first out.
first in, first out. For those of you that don't know what we're giggling about over here, first in, first out is like every sort of like a rom-com movie where somebody's grandmother is like reaching in to get the oldest or newest milk carton. So what happens is whether it's nuts or seeds or stock or whatever it is, the newest stuff is usually in the back. So whatever it is, I'm always looking at dates for when things, whatever you call it, expire, but let's say Best Buy is a better use of that term. And I always go ahead and get the newest stuff, and that's usually found in the back. Okay.
I have a question from Courtney. Are leafy greens in smoothies tolerable?
Ooh, great question.
Yes. Couple of things. Um, I I buy frozen chopped things, chopped kale, chopped spinach, and you can throw that into a smoothie and blend it really well. So yeah, I definitely, most people, not all people, but most people can do, chopped tender greens in a smoothie. What I would suggest is if you haven't started it yet and you want to try it, try just like a couple of tablespoons and see how that goes. That goes okay, try a couple more tablespoons. You're going to kind of figure out what your level of digestion is. But the frozen chopped greens are great. And you just take out what you need, throw it back in the freezer, and reuse it over and over.
Ta-da! Has it been 3 hours already? I can listen to us talk all day, Mary Eve, all day long. I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. This is the pot roast, okay? Normally, if I were serving this at a restaurant, I would cook the meat and I would cook it down for a couple hours. Then I would add the vegetables so they're not super soft. These are super soft. I think that's a good thing. And mostly since you didn't make me peel any of these vegetables, I think it's a great thing. So they still have a little bit of integrity. The beef is falling apart. Like when I tried to pick up a part, it just pulled right out. Can you see that? Now, Mary Eve,
That's
what do you
awesome.
think about a little bit of dairy on top of that? Can you see that?
Mhm.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing when it comes to digesting a meal like this?
Okay, because my brain went sour cream on that, but I don't know why.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine.
Okay, so it depends. Some people can't do dairy. So I probably would say maybe not. But if it's like a cream or something, that doesn't have much lactose in it. So you could do that. What dairy was your brain going to, Nathan?
I mean, you said coffee, and I haven't gotten off that subject ever since you said that word, the C word. We don't like to talk about it, but it's the C word. Same thing. I would say the same thing. I like a little bit of horseradish. How does that
Mm,
work? Fresh horseradish or jarred horseradish? Is that an okay thing for the patients to consume, or is it too?
it's too spicy. I
Okay,
don't think so.
okay.
But yeah, horseradish on that. Oh golly, geez, I got to make this now.
It looks like that, right? I mean, horseradishes are really.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
thought it was initially.
yeah. Is it a root? Is it a rhizome? Hmm.
Oh. So while you're figuring that out, Mary Eve, what I'm doing right now is I'm going to make a creamy potato cheddar soup. What I'll do is say, if you're not worried about your knife skills, well then, my friends, this is the soup for you. If you're in a hurry, if that even means anything, you can just chop the heck out of this like it owes you money. So there's really no knife skills when it comes to these potatoes. But because we want it to cook pretty fast, the smaller you cut the vegetable, in this case, the potato that's peeled, the faster it's going to cook. Okay, so while I'm just slicing these bad boys up, any particular stock that you feel would work with this as well, like the chicken broth, but bone broth, I think would be a little bit heavy. If you just had chicken stock, what else could you add to just a potato soup, Mary Eve, to really up the protein in this? I don't know if it's like
Well, aren't you adding some dairy to this, some half and half?
we're adding half and half, and then also the cheddar cheese. But if you wanted to up it even more,
Yeah, so I would
something else.
totally, yep, I totally would use a high protein milk. And there's a couple of them that are on the market.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to say brand or not. There's one that has 13 grams of protein per cup.
Wow.
Wow.
It's lactose free. It's awesome. It's the only milk I have in my fridge. And you can use it in cooking. You can use it to drink. You can use it to make smoothies. There's another one that's 10 grams of protein, also lactose free. And then there is an almond cashew milk on the market.
Ooh.
It's 8 or 10 grams of protein. So people, when you're in the dairy section, turn all the milks around, look at the label, find the one that has the most protein in it. That's the one that's going to jump in your cart and come to your house and go into a soup.
There we go. Okay.
Courtney says, I like cooking daikon in soups. It removes the spicy flavor and becomes soft and sweet.
All right. Daikon radish.
That's a great, almost like a horseradish substitute.
Oh, I love that.
Super
Yeah.
smart.
So smart.
Super smart. I like
Super
it.
smart. So horseradish is a root. It's not a rhizome. So
Oh, interesting.
All
Spicy
right.
root.
Chicken stock. Okay. Doing some potatoes. Again, I don't want to have to stir this in here and stir it up. And this is just, this is like a cook and roll. I know when these potatoes are done, when the tines of a fork go into them. This is the time of the year if you want to do the baked potato, the sweet potatoes, like even carrots or anything that you're consuming that cooks for a longer period of time. the mistake is always that people use a knife, because my grandmother used a knife and my mom used a knife. So we're all creatures of habit. But the thing about a knife is the tip of a knife offers very little resistance. And a lot of times, if you have this larger potato and you go into it, it's like, oh, it's done. You pull it out, and it's still a little bit raw in the middle. Next time, use the tines of a fork. There's 4 little prickers, and it gives a lot more resistance and a little more accurate as far as that the doneness of that. Okay, so I have stock. I have some sprigs of thyme. So I'm still using the same ingredient. So I'm not asking you to go out and get one ingredient you're going to use a teaspoon of. This is stuff that works for a lot of different areas because everything, of course, is in season right now. We're talking about root vegetables. So I'm going to do some thyme. I have the potatoes stock. I'm going to cook this down. The potatoes are done. And then we're going to pull out Mary Eve's favorite kitchen tool.
My immersion blender.
Kitchen blender. Yes.
You know.
Who was that person? Give her a gift.
If I could gift everybody an immersion blender, that would make me so happy because I have people who are trying to, blend up stuff and they're taking hot stuff and putting it in a blender and it's just a mess.
Yeah.
The immersion blender, it's just less work.
It is nice. It's very nice.
And easier cleanup.
Yes. Yes, Sarah.
What do you think about, not personally as far as like cheddar? There are older cheeses, there are younger cheeses. Is an older, drier cheese like a Parmesan easier to digest than say a younger cheese like a mozzarella? Because we're just using an aged cheddar here right now.
Yes. So harder cheeses have less lactose in them than softer cheeses.
Yeah.
And so I talk about lactose a lot is because lactose can also dump. So if I've had a total or a partial, I can have a dumping situation going on, and it's a sugar thing, and it can be immediate and it can be delayed. Immediate is I eat and within a half an hour I'm like not good. Delayed can be up to 2 hours after. So some people can do dairy, and I have other people like, nope, that's going to make me feel really bad. But the harder the cheese, the less lactose that's in it.
What do you mean by dump? Like you just don't feel well?
Yeah. So what happens is if I've had some of my stomach or all of my stomach removed, the contents of what would be in my stomach falls from a smaller pouch or no pouch into the small bowel. With the small bowel normally is like, I don't get that normally. And so what it does a couple of things. It can pull water in, and it can also drop my blood sugar. So pulling the water in, you could have like immediately like really bad cramping, could be nausea, can be really bad diarrhea. Delayed is about 2 hours or give or take. I get so exhausted, I fall asleep immediately, and that's a low blood sugar.
Okay. Okay. That is not a good thing. All right, so we're keeping sugar in mind. We're keeping different types of dairy in mind. This is quite a navigation we're doing here, and I'm so glad that you're here because I couldn't do it myself. I couldn't
do it without you either, Jeff.
Aww.
Stop it. I set that one up like a wiffle ball over the head, over the fence. Okay. Now, one of the things that is an exciting moment for Sarah and I is the smoothie. It is. It really is because we just talk about protein. It's super easy to put together. I think one of the things that Sarah and I enjoy is come up with different smoothies that actually taste different or actually very satisfying. So this is going to be a carrot cake smoothie.
Mm.
You can get carrot juice, like juiced carrot, in grocery stores now. How do you feel about that? Is there too much carrot juice that can be consumed? I'm just really curious.
Okay, number one, it's got to be pasteurized. So you don't want to be going anywhere and buying juice off of a truck, I don't know, somewhere like.
Carrot juice dealers.
that white truck with no windows. Come here. I'm not. Nope.
Bootleg. Nope. It's bootleg.
I love it.
So pasteurization, it heats it so that all the pathogens are removed. I literally had a patient. His family member brought him raw juice because he thought it would be like really good for him. And you know what happened? Salmonella.
Oh,
Sugar Shack. So yeah, so the thing about juice though, and we have to keep this in mind, is that it can be like a quick sugar. So when you drink juice by itself is not probably a good idea for any of us, but you're putting it in with protein and other things. So you're good. I think the most important part of buying any kind of juice is that it's going to be pasteurized. That's the important part of it.
Okay. That is what it is. It is pasteurized. Thank goodness. Otherwise, I just dump it right down the trash. Fresh ginger. And
Ah,
I fresh
love it.
ginger. So what you saw me do is take the back of a spoon and I just scrape the skin off. It's very thin, and I just made a little microplane, and I grated some ginger. There is not turmeric in this recipe, but there could be.
There could be.
Huh? So
Could
what
be.
we're doing, I'm going to go ahead and add a bunch of ingredients to this blender. Um, Quick question for you, if I may. When it comes to powdered spices, I'm going to use cinnamon in this. Is there ever an inverse of like too much of a particular type of spice? I remember there was a recipe, and the mistake was cloves. And somebody had said it was supposed to be like a quarter clove, and it ended up being
Nutmeg. Was it
nutmeg. It
that?
was nutmegs. I know this toxic in certain levels. Is it okay to just go ahead and enjoy yourself when it comes to spices? Because right now is the time when you bake, and even if you can't have certain type of baked goods, you can throw something like cinnamon in a smoothie that's reminiscent of, say, a carrot cake, something like this, a carrot cake smoothie.
Yeah, herbs are great. Spices are great. So actually, spices also have antioxidant properties to them. Cinnamon is great for blood sugar control. So yeah, I think spices can come in all the time to whatever your tolerance is. Like I think of spicy ones like red pepper flakes, like that kind of thing. But
Mm.
those warming spices are fantastic.
Quick question from Courtney. Are any fiber sources tolerated well, or is it best to modify the fiber to make it easier to digest?
So, Courtney, there are two different types of fiber, right? There's soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber is gel forming, and it can be very digestive friendly. That's like oat. Um, Insoluble fiber is like
Mhm.
roughage, stalks of things, skins of things, and they can just be a little bit harder to digest. So if you're not doing any fiber and you want to try to ease it in, I would go the soluble route before doing the insoluble route. And I don't mean route, I mean like route.
So I'm looking at this one thing. As I'm adding these ingredients, I have some dairy, milk, yogurt, of course, the carrot juice, the ginger, cinnamon, vanilla extract. I can't let it go because we talked about alcohol when we were talking about braising the chuck. It's surprising because when you look at vanilla extract, it has the same alcohol level as vodka does. Is
It
that ever an
does.
issue on small levels of a spice? Let's say like vanilla extract.
Extracts can totally like not be digested well with people without a stomach or in treatment. And but let's
I just dumped it.
back up
It
again.
just
So
it's dead to me. It's dead to me.
um because vanilla extract is like, oh gosh. So I have a question about, do you know if like vanilla bean paste is alcohol based, or like the bean?
Vanilla bean paste, to my understanding, is just sugars, different types of sugar. I don't think
Mm,
it has alcohol because there's no substrate for it to carry those flavor profiles in. So that's just my
okay.
Do you
understanding.
need to blend that?
There's it.
Oh, you did?
There's no ice.
Ah,
Do you want ice to be in there?
no.
Okay, so normally there's ice, but because of sound issues and our dog will come running in like a psycho, we have dachshunds. Mary Eve and I do, so she gets it. So this is the blended up, and it's really beautiful. I think it's really lovely. What I did is I threw the milk. We also had vanilla extract, fresh ginger. I also, of course, the carrot juice, a little bit of cinnamon, all kinds of fun things. You'll definitely get this recipe in the booklet, but it's really quite lovely. It's just one of our recipes, and I'm hoping that all the recipes that you've tried are actually very good, but this one just really hits a special spot for me, okay? So we have a couple different things happening right now. I'm going to serve up the soup. The potatoes aren't quite done. True. I will show you this just because you get points just by showing Mary you have one of these. If you just show it, you get full points, okay? Even if I don't use it because the potatoes are not cooked through, I think we agree on that. But what I would do is once they're done, I would blend that up. You can have it as chunky or as smooth as you wish. It doesn't matter because it's all cooked through. Then what I like to do is add the cheese. Older, of course, the better. Older cheeses will have a stronger flavor, so you can use less. That's another thing to keep in mind. I have, of course, the fennel fronds or dill. Depends upon you want dill or fennel fronds with the potatoes. So let me go ahead and serve that up. All right, here we go. And this freezes well also. Okay. So I
And the
have,
key,
it is,
guys, when you're
yes.
freezing things, freeze it in individual portions. Don't freeze a whole thing because if you're struggling with appetite or portion or eating, you're not going to thaw a huge thing of something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
individually freezing something is just going to be so much easier to reheat and use.
It's also very intimidating, in my opinion. Like when you have something that's very, very large, it's nice to have a small bowl. I mean, definitely during the holidays, I'm all about kind of giving small like B&B plates, not the big giant plates, but a smaller plate. So you have to make the conscious decision to get up and get that other serving
Yeah.
of something. And also the smaller servings, when you look around, it's just a little bit more elegant rather than having this big, gigantic, plate just mounded with food. So this is the soup. You can have a little extra cheese on the side. Can you see that?
Yeah.
A little
Beautiful.
dill on the
Beautiful.
top. There's only just a couple of ingredients in this, okay? So it's a really, hit the ground running sort of scenario, and that's your soup. So we have a smoothie, we have the soup, we have that pot roast that cooked for hours. We have something called a vanilla pot au creme. We'll see if we have time for that. Do we have time for the vanilla pot au creme? Okay, I'm gonna walk you
so
through it.
simple, yeah.
I'm gonna walk you through it. You have half and half, or half and half, and some milk. And then you have some egg yolks and sugar. With the egg yolks, you temper in the dairy, and then you would go ahead and put it inside of where the guys. So little ramekins like this. So forgive me that we're not going this, but this is another low and slow. Okay. When you put the liquid in there, it's just a really simple custard with a touch of salt and vanilla extract, which is now dead to me. As soon as we log off, this is going in the trash. And you would fill it up with hot water. Hot water from your tap is around 125 degrees. That's fine. You fill it up halfway, cover it with foil, poke some holes, and into the oven for like 35 minutes at 300 degrees. And that's it. It's the same exact temperature we have the pot roast going right now, 300 degrees. So once that's done, take your time. You can make the custard, pull out the pot roast. This goes in for 35 minutes, and you've got a wonderful dessert, which could sit in the fridge for a very long time. Have one. The portions are very small and they're quite elegant. And you have a pot roast that you can freeze and have whenever you want it to be. Okay.
Swap over there.
Oh, let me show you what it looks like.
Nancy says, and just thinking that you're getting liquids in all of these recipes, many of us find it hard to get enough throughout the day.
Oh my God, Nancy, can I meet you? Because you are awesome. So, hydration can be a whole thing for us, right? All of us, but particularly for somebody who doesn't have a stomach or has a partial or is in treatment. And you made an awesome point, is that if it melts to room temperature or it's a liquid, it can count towards my hydration. So it doesn't have to be water. And sometimes you can't eat and drink at the same time if you had, your stomach removed. So doing a soup counts as liquid, counts as protein, counts as nutrition. The other hot la creme or whatever that thing is, it's
Photograph.
photocreme. Oh, thank you. Okay. So you all are very fancy out there in California. Okay, so it's protein because it has eggs and it has dairy in it,
That's right.
and it's liquid. So right there, those two things can count as all of that.
Mm.
Now, the thing is, what just blew my mind again, you were talking about when you go to the dairy section, you can get milks that have high protein. You can just use, the high protein milk in this and just to boost your protein up. I mean, you're giving me such wonderful ideas and fodder for the next round of recipes we're going to work on, Mary Eve, because again, protein's it's sort of like hidden in plain sight when you know the ingredients that you would be able to use. So thank you so much for that information. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if we're good, we're good. Today flew by. It flew by for me. I hope it did for you as well. I mean, you get a lot of information, wonderful questions asked out there. Again, Mary Eve Brown, you were a wealth. I just want to dip in the brain cells that you have available in the synapses and just surround myself like a warm hug. This will have to do, unfortunately, until we see it again. But thank you, Mary Eve Brown, for you being here as always, for people that are showing up and asking questions that are so desperately they're just really, really important, because when people watch this recording, because it's being recorded in the future, and you can go ahead and tell other people this might be a helpful tool if you're a provider or if you're a patient. So again, thank you so much, and I hope this has been helpful. Big thanks to Debbie Stream Foundation for making this happen. And big thanks to our sponsors. You know, I got chills just by saying the word sponsor. So yes, we need to thank our sponsors. It's very important. They allow us to be here to share our knowledge with you and to have this sort of like hour of time. We can all come together from around the world, literally from around the world, to move the needle for this really bad disease and make things more tolerable and get healthier with every meal. So I'm gonna go ahead and skedaddle stage left.
We're back next month, though. Very exciting. Back
Wow.
in 2026.
Back to back, okay? Back next month with new recipes, just as applicable, just as delicious. You will get these recipes, of course. No need to write them all down. And have a safe and wonderful holiday season, everyone. So I'm gonna go ahead.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Wow. Off to the sponsors. See you guys next year.